you will be as well. Mr. Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. What exactly is culture? Culture is the agreed upon right and wrong of a people. Culture is the agreed upon this is good, this is not. Culture is the agreed upon this is acceptable and this is not. So you may be thinking, so where is culture? Culture is all around us. It's in your home. It's at your workplace. It may be in your city, your town, your state, our world. Sociologists have told us if you want to change culture, there's 7 streams, 7 areas that you need to touch to change that culture. That's what we want to talk about today. But as I do that, I'd like you to think about what are you going to do differently 7 minutes from now that will change the culture where you live and work. First off, the sociologists tell us that the arts and entertainment are one area that we have to touch. Let me tell you the story of 2 brothers who from Sherwood, Georgia have produced films. They've produced films such as Courageous, Fireproof, Facing Giants. They believe that by producing films that have a certain culture that they believe in, that they will be able to change the world from Sherwood, Georgia. 2 brothers, kindred brothers, making a difference in their world right where they are. Sociologists also tell us that business is an area. Now, here in Longview, we have Mr. R.G. Letourneau, the mover of men and mountains. I think you would all agree he's had a significant impact on Longview, Texas. All right? There's a university, a center. Perhaps you've even gone there to listen to a concert at his university. But you see, it's not about him. Yes, his name's on the top. It's about changing the men and women that go there, changing the culture of Longview, changing what happens in education. R.G. Letourneau. The next area are churches and religion. Now, I happen to work in that area right now. I work with church leaders. And in working with those church leaders, I seek to help them have their churches make an impact where they are. Just last week, I sat across the table from a man who's a pastor of a very large church. I said, Pastor, what difference would it make if your church was not here tomorrow in this community? As he sat there, tears rolled down his face. Because he began to realize that his church may have been a clubhouse for members, but it was not impacting or changing the community around it. It frankly made no difference. It was a place where the club members went to on Sunday for a show on Sunday. But they didn't change. Arts and entertainment, business, churches. The media is number 4 that we have to touch. Or maybe you work in that area. I have a friend who's been named the head of all of the cable TV networks in Malaysia. His goal is to use that position that God has given to him for that time and that place to begin to impact an entire nation. How did he get there? For such a time as this, as he's worked through the media for 25 years, suddenly he finds himself atop that position. And now, ready, just like Queen Esther, for such a time as this, to make a difference in that community. Make a difference in that country. Next one is education. Perhaps you work in that area. I know some of you do. Thinking about, what can I do? All of us experience the results of education. Whether you have children yourself, or perhaps you have experienced the children that are out there. Some of them are well-cultured, some not so well-cultured. Maybe you've chosen to home educate your children, and that's a culture decision that you make to change their lives. You're impacted. You can touch and change. Just like that starfish that was on the beach that had come in after a storm. That little boy was picking them up and throwing them back into the ocean. The man came along and said, "It can't make no difference to touch all of those starfish. There are thousands of them." He picked up the next one and threw it back in. To that one, it made a difference. It touched the life of a child. The next one is family. More than 60% of the marriages in the United States end in divorce. If you're married a second time, I hate to tell you, you have about a 10% success rate. 90%. That tears a culture, that tears the fabric of a nation. Maybe your assignment is to change what happens in your family, to work with that husband or wife, to make a difference, to make a strong family. Lastly is government. I had the privilege of sitting across the table at a lunch last week with a young man who's going to SMU Law School. He'll graduate. His goal is to be in politics. His desire is to begin to impact not only his home city of Frankston, Texas, but to go on and to continue impacting his county, his state, Texas. I would not be surprised if he gave Rick Perry a run for his money in not too many years. What will you do to impact culture, arts and entertainment, business, churches, religion, media, education, family, government? Where have you been placed? In which of those streams will you make a difference? Will you change your culture? I'm out to change mine. Will you change yours? Mr. Contest.